Tie them up. We'll make a wholesale delivery to Captain Arnold. But first, I'm going to find out what's on the other side of that door.
You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Jap!
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Good evening, everyone. This is Walter and iWalter on this Sunday, September 27th, 2015. I took a day off yesterday. It is 7:41 p.m. If I have not said it yet, I'm saying it now. I went out with a friend last night, so I really just was too tired. And I actually watched the rest of the Batman first series from 43. And I just had to prove a point, too, because a friend and me had a discussion that I should not, make comments and then say that I'm just kidding because I am still held accountable. That's why I played that. That was on a series known as Batman and Robin that was from 1943 to 1943, and it was like a series that was shown in the movie theaters. And that was like 15 episodes. So it's like a 2-disc set you can buy for like $5. And then there's Batman and Robin once again in 49. And that's also 15 episodes. It was a series that was shown in the movie theaters back in the day, like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon were. Now, the reason I played that, though, was because you notice that little segment, part that I played, they referred to Chinese people as Japs. So all through the series, like everyone, including this love interest of Bruce Wayne, would call like the enemy who was Japanese, they called them Japs. So technically that is politically incorrect to say. Why I'm bringing that up again is, now I understand that was like almost 70 years ago when that was, aired, or not even aired. It was actually in the movie theaters. People paid to go see that, and on a weekly basis. But the point is, you can't just say, well, certain people are allowed to say things, other people are not allowed to say certain things. You got to be the same. You got to be consistent. You can't just place the blame and the finger on me that you're trying to protect me. Just making a heads up. I'm just stating that. Anyway, it didn't bother me last night. I didn't think about it. It's like one of those delayed reactions. It did bother me today quite a bit that, I'm being commented on that I should be more careful in what I say and that my contents could be problematic to other people. Well, I do this show with the intention, like, if I get more than one person complain, then I'll definitely consider about it. But so far, it's just one source that is disliking what I do. Other people haven't really complained. They actually, I was going to take some time off, more than just a day. And, people that do listen to me and do respond back said, why aren't you doing any of these shows? Is it that hard? Well, to answer them, the shows are hard. They do take quite a bit of time. They are very time-consuming. The show prep is just a real pain in the neck. So that's why I wanted to take a step back as well. But I was also concerned. But then when I don't do them, I hear people ask me, why aren't you doing your show? Not a lot, but a few. But they outweigh the people who are against what I do. So I have to, I basically do what people ask me to do. I'm not going to do anything. And if more people complain that, hey, we don't think this is, we find this offensive, then I'll definitely say, okay, you know what, I'll stop it. But until I hear that, I'm not going to stop doing the shows the way I've been doing them. And I actually enjoy, we had a discussion, me and a friend, about last night, the shows are based on horrific stories. Well, that's all that's actually in the news. And unfortunately, realistically, people don't want to hear about good news. They love hearing about the bad news. And, if these sites were so horrible and so offensive to more people, these sites would be taken down because, one, somebody would make sure they got shut down, or two, they wouldn't draw the amount of people they do. Unfortunately, they draw large crowds of people, these web links. And why? Because people like horror. It's October now, and what do people want to see? They want to see horror movies. They don't want to see cutesy little lovey-dovey movies. They want to see horror. And unfortunately, people just love horror. I think it's just in our nature. We are, creatures of, I don't want to say creatures of habit, but we're just creatures of just violence. Our whole history, there was a movie, no puns intended, but we're a history of violence. So people enjoy violence. Sorry about that. I got to turn that off. Somebody's messaging me. But, and you go basically. Actually, a guy at work did tell me, I forgot to tell my friend this. This is no joke. A friend told me, you got to make your stories like really, what do you call it? Like really racy, really on the edge to get people's interest. He said, yeah, you can't play it safe. You got to play it like the to the point that you're going to get in trouble. And then this was a guy at work who told me that. I'm not even making it up, but he's right, because people, when I did try to play it safe, I think once or twice on my shows, even this one guy who likes listening to me at work, he turned it off while I was listening to it. He's just like, yeah, what is this about? This is not like your normal stuff. It's about, you're talking about kid shows and stuff. I was trying to play it safe, and look where it got me. Nobody wanted to listen to me. So, and that particular guy who likes listening to my shows, like, literally turned it off. He was like, okay, I'm not interested now. So I'm just trying to give a accurate depiction of what people literally do want to see, because I do get feedback from people that I talk to. So, different opinions, but I'm just saying. Anyway, hey, you know what? There's some really, really cool stuff on Adam Green's website. He's the one who does do horror movies. I met him in person. He is just really an average guy. I saw him, and I didn't even realize. I was like, why are these people? I went to this horror convention. I think it was sometime during the year. And then it was like, why is everybody crowding around this one guy? It was Adam Green, of all people. And it was like, who the fuck is Adam Green? And I didn't realize I seen most of his movies, not even realizing he was the director. And he also acts in his stuff. He puts himself in, a lot of his newer stuff, his films. He puts him, does a cameo in front of the screen. But I actually saw his very first, kind of his first film that made, him noted. It was this film called Frozen, where these people get stuck on the ski lift, and I asked my dad to take me to go see it for my birthday, and he did. No, I had no realization. I did not realize, I should say, that was Adam Green's film. That was one of his movies that were a little bit more tame, because he's done some pretty wild stuff like Hatchet, and then he has that TV show called Holliston, which is actually pretty damn good. They're going to bring it back. So anyway, he's got his whole theme set up on his Facebook page. He has his own Facebook page. And hell, if anybody gets back to me, because I'll email these pictures I had gotten with him. I know other people probably do the same. Because I just recently did that with this girl, which I really enjoyed meeting her. She seemed very friendly. And she, her shows are really cool when she had them on. I did that with, just recently with, God, I am drawing a blank. It's nothing new for me. give me a minute because I'll remember in a second. Because I put it on Twitter because she seems to be on there more. But yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Victoria Justice. Yeah, I met her in person a while back at a meet and greet. I have my photo with her. And she seemed really friendly and stuff. She didn't seem like she was trying to push away from me getting photos. And it was like, well, she seems really cool, real friendly. And she's always doing these live chats on Twitter with people. She likes to stay with her fans. And I was like, hey, you know what? She seems like a pretty good sport. It was like, hey, it was really cool, seeing you that one time. It was a couple years ago now. And, yeah, she never responded back. Most people don't, honestly. Even Adam Green, Kevin Smith, people I met more, numerous times here and there, they don't want to be bothered with in their real life. So anyway, Adam Green put up this thing for Halloween. It's old, though, I guess, because it says it was dated 2007. I'll read what he wrote. And it was actually really good. At first, I was a little annoyed by it. But it's basically about adult children, and he includes himself in the short. It's like a short film for Halloween, and him and his friends want to go out. Even in their 30s, they want to go out trick-or-treating, and they dress up. And the one girl, she plays in Holliston. She normally plays Adam Green's love interest. In this particular thing, she plays a wife to this guy. And I think the guy, I can't remember, he's some comedian that I've seen before. I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue, and they don't give his name, but I know it's him. Plays, but she plays the wife who's annoyed with her husband, this blonde-haired girl. And she does a really good job. Maybe it's mentioned in here, but I'll read that. Maybe it'll make more sense. And at the very end, she finally gives up on her husband and says, fine, if you want to go out trick-or-treating with your friends until you're like in your 90s, go right ahead, because he even takes a temper tantrum and she won't let him go out. It was really funny, actually. So Adam Green's got a dark side to him, too. And, he's more for comedy horror. So at the very end, he comes home the next day, early in the morning, and tells his wife, the fictional wife in this little short, hey, I got all this candy, isn't this great? And she was like, yeah, but you're not going to be doing it anymore. He says, well, would you like a piece of candy, though? Because I got all this candy. It's stuff you love. So she was like, at first she was fighting it. And then he says, you want a piece of this Butterfinger candy bar? And she was like, she finally gave in, and she said, okay, I'll eat some. She's still laying in bed, though. So, actually, I'm looking at it now, this other director that Adam Green works with was in the skit. Adam Green and this other guy. So it's funny, these guys, they do it so nonchalantly, like these two directors put themselves into these shorts and these shows and these movies, that you really got to look. But it's funny when you see them, because then it's like Kevin Smith, how he sneaks himself into his films. It's become a thing, like you got to figure out where these guys are going to place themselves in the film, and they do a really good job. So anyway, the husband, the next day, I went off on a stray again, finally convinces his wife. She's a really good actress, too. I like her on, she's mainly in Holliston. I don't know, she might have been in some of the movies, too, because usually he does, Adam Green recycles everybody that he's friends with in his TV shows and in all his movies. He usually never leaves anyone out at all. But this character in this thing that Adam Green did for Halloween, he just put it up yesterday at 2:00. It's an old short. His husband, basically at the very end of the short, it's like a curveball. He had put a razor blade in the candy. So when she was eating, he says, take a big bite of this Butterfinger. And she does, and in her mouth, she's got a razor blade going through her tongue. And then it was like, she calls 911 to try to get help. Then he calls 911, and he says, yeah, I'm calling 911 because my wife is dead. And what he does is he sticks a pillow over her head to make sure she really is dead before the paramedics arrive. And it'll just be placed on the razor blade in the candy bar. So it's just his dark sense of humor, and it was actually really funny. Don't get me wrong. So, because a friend thinks that I to dwell too much on the horror, but I grew up with horror. I enjoy horror. I love being scared. Sometimes I get too scared. I understand that. So anyway, it says underneath this video, and again, you can go to Adam Green on Facebook, and it's really good. Getting started in the trick-or-treating spirit with look back at Aeroscope's 2000 annual Halloween short, The Tiffany Problem, starring Joel David Moore and Krell English. Still in my personal favorites of 16 years, favorite of all in 16 years Halloween shorts so far, and it is really good. Our 17th annual Halloween short will be released on October 13th. So that's really cool. October 13th is my brother's birthday, too, so that's really cool, too. So, yeah, I definitely check it out. It says, and I can see why he likes it so much. He's got some other, he's really, like, psyched for Halloween, Adam Green. And I kind of like that. I mean, honestly, out of all the holidays, I think Halloween is my all-time favorite. Oh, it always has been, and it always is. Christmas used to be when I was younger because you got presents from your parents. But Halloween is the most fucking awesome of all of them. So he's got these other shorts on there. They're really funny, but the one he put on that is his favorite. And there's another one that was really good. I didn't realize that was Adam Green's. He does his campy parody. He takes a part of the movie, the original Halloween, where, Dr. I forget what his name was. Dr. Rhodes or something? No, that's something else. But the doctor in, what do you call it? In Halloween, they wonder how Michael Myers is able to drive a car. And he says, well, he drove really well when he stole that car. So they did a parody on that where Michael Myers is going for his driver's ed course. And it is fucking funny. I'm sorry, it really is. This was another one of Adam Green's older shorts, and it says, only 20 days left until release of Aeroscope's 17th annual horror short film, and that was back on the 23rd of September. While we wait, he looks back at the 2012's Halloween short, Driving Lessons, starring Joel David Moore and Kane Hodder as Michael Myers, and trust me, it is really funny. It is really, really funny, because, yeah, I mean, Michael Myers has the, what do you call it, mask on, the William Shatner mask on, the Michael Myers, they consider it the Michael Myers mask. And like looking at this, and it's like, this is fucking hilarious. It's really, really good. So I give him credit where I give credit where credit's due. I love Adam Green. I didn't realize who he was. I saw him, and I was kind of almost like half-ass into it when I got a picture with him. I was like, wait a minute, dude, you were really cool. So when I finally got a picture of him, I thought it was awesome. Anyway, there was some advertisement, too, for some place in Jersey called Brighton Asylum. It's another haunted house thing they do. I've never been to that one. Now, the one I would like to do, and I looked into it last night, I can get a bus from where I live in Norristown to go out to Pittsburgh. And there's this amusement park out there for this Halloween. They now have a 4D film projector. They were actually showing the movie Frozen on there. And it looked really cool because, like, when you see, like, snow in the movie, well, it would snow in, actually, it would look like it was snowing in the theater itself. So certain things come to life. That's why it's called 4D, because it's not just like it looks like you can look into the film. It actually, the film, you become part of the film itself. So now they want to do it for Halloween. They're doing an attraction, which I'm sure is going to be really hard to get into. You have to buy tickets ahead of time because there's only like about 20 seats per show for Friday the 13th. So you actually get to watch like about 15 or 20 minutes. That's the only thing that's a shame, because it'll take me on a bus 5.5 hours to get to Pittsburgh, and then I got to go probably rent a car to go from there to head out towards what do you call it, to the amusement park where they have this amusement now that's a 15-20 minute attraction where you actually sit down in a movie seat and you get to see part of Friday the 13th in 4D. Like, actually, Jason is going to be right next to you in your seat practically. So I did that. I did something like that, exactly like that, with the Terminator thing when it was out in the West Coast, and I did that out in where was that? One of the big movie studios. One that was actually you could actually walk through. It wasn't Warner Brothers. It was Universal, and that was really cool. My mom was screaming her head off on that one. So can you imagine with Friday the 13th? That would be awesome. I just wish they would have it closer. I mean, it's not as bad as having to go out to California for something as short as that, but 5.5 hours is not much better. It's a bit of a hike. So, but I am actually willing to do it. I really want to, but it would have to be the month of October because that's the only time they're showing that 4D film. I wish they would have other places closer, but unfortunately they don't. So I was thinking of doing that, actually. I was trying to get a friend interested in maybe going with me. By the way, I still haven't seen Eli Roth's Green Inferno. I don't know if I will or will not because one friend, Ryan, said he saw it and he didn't like it that much. And plus, I did go through Walmart and I got a couple films that I really wanted to see and, that were on sale for really cheap, like $5 or $6 on Blu-ray. And these are like classic horror movies. I was like, yes, I love classic horror movies. I know, I complain about them, but I still love them. It's not going to stop me from ever watching them, trust me. So anyway, there was a thing on Movie Pilot on a different story, because they've been talking about Robert Englund doing this, Robert Englund doing that, and they think of him being the Freddy Krueger. There was actually one story that somebody wrote up, I think it's one of these movie Pilot things, where they were mentioning that they didn't think the original Freddy Krueger that Robert Englund played was a child molester. Well, it's like, well, I hate to tell you, that was the whole purpose of Freddy Krueger. Yeah, he basically killed kids, but he also molested them. That was the whole premise. And I think, if I read it correctly, I think that Robert Englund, when he first read the script, he kind of realized that, yeah, you're playing a child pedophiliac, child molester. But the whole premise was that when they killed him, because he was not only like molesting the kids, he also tortured and killed them. And this was, who wrote those stories, who's deceased now, unfortunately, passed away not too long ago. But anyway, the thing is, that was the whole premise of the character anyway. So anyway, Robert Englund says he would play Freddy again if he could make a Freddy versus Michael Myers. That would be pretty cool because they did it with Jason. That did really well. Now, the thing was, Jason doesn't talk, neither is Michael Myers, so that's perfect. And obviously the movie did quite well, and that's not a bad idea. That really is not a bad idea. I think that movie would make like a decent amount of money. It says in a recent interview, Robert Englund spoke about what direction Freddy Krueger could or should be going in the future Elm Street movies. It would be nice to have him relive that role maybe just one more time. And that would be a good idea. I think that would be really cool. And one of the suggestions that was for him to make Freddy throw down his iconic slasher Michael Myers. That's what he said in an interview. You don't do remakes. I would do Freddy 9, or I would do Freddy versus Michael Myers, or I would just do a prequel, I guess, before he got burned to death. That would be cool too, but honestly, Freddy versus Michael Myers is not that bad of an idea. You know what? You can buy the whole series of Freddy Krueger movies, but I was more of a Jason fan, but you could buy all the movies. I think they have them at Walmart now for like $34. And, I mean, they were good. I might end up, if I want to waste more money, I may end up just doing that, buying, the whole box set. Because some of those I really liked. There was the girl got turned into a cockroach, and she used to work out, so she had the workout outfit on, which I thought was really hot. But then he turns her into a cockroach. And they added a lot of humor to the movies. It was like comedy horror movies with Freddy Krueger. That was the thing. They were a lot more lighthearted. I got to push yes for this one. what was I going to say? That, yeah, he puts this girl into, in her dream that is obsessed with working out. I think, again, it was Dream Warrior. And she was pretty hot looking back in the day, this girl. She's working out. He changes her into a cockroach. And then he puts her in a roach motel box, you know, his little pest control boxes, and he crushes the box with her in there. So, you know, it's that dry sense of humor, like kind of sickening, but it was still like definitely humor. So it was funny. I was going to buy this movie for my mom tonight, and she said, "Oh, I wish you would have got it for me in so many words or less." And now I regret not doing it, because you can buy any horror movie now on Blu-ray for $6. And it's $5 on DVD. So what are you going to do? You're going to buy the Blu-ray, for Christ's sakes. So another story. This was actually besthorrormovies.com. I didn't realize. The 14 best horror movie remakes. And The Fly was right on the top. And I was going to buy that for my mom. She said, she loves that movie with Jeff Goldblum. She could not get enough of that. I was actually a David Cronenberg remade that film. And she loves that. The original Fly, she actually liked The Fly, too, as well. Now, I didn't like it that much. My mother loved it. So I'm not even kidding. When it was on cable, she would watch it every single time. She doesn't like the original one. She likes the remake. The next one was Evil Dead, which I thought was incredible. I really liked the remake of Evil Dead. I was hoping for a sequel, but it looks like at this point, that's a no puns intended. That's a dead issue. I don't think it's going to happen. The next one is The Crazies, which was okay. You know, it's a George Romero film, the remake and the original. The Ring was the next one, which I have to agree with. I really liked that. Dawn of the Dead was the next one. Zack Snyder. That was actually really good. The Hills Have Eyes, those were actually a little bit that I could not watch those. Those were extremely violent, the remakes. The original ones were very campy, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy who made it, because he's just, you know, that's the guy who also did the Freddy Krueger movies. So now you're making me do this. No, I'm kidding. I'm making myself do it. Wes Craven. Okay, I before I even looked it up, I found it. I mean, I remembered it. Wes Craven, yes. That man was just known for doing horror, but it wasn't as extreme as the remakes are, because most of the Wes Craven remakes of these movies are really, really over the top. They don't add humor, and they're just extremely, extremely violent. Now, for some reason, they put the remake of Friday the 13th, the reboot, into the list, and I thought it was okay, and I actually went and seen it because the one actor plays in that show, Supernatural. That was the only reason I wanted to go see it, and plus I love Friday the 13th. So don't get me wrong. Well, that was put on the list of movies of like excellent remakes. Making sure I got that right. The best remakes, 14 of them. So the next one was John Carpenter's The Thing. I honestly like the original one, but John Carpenter's actually made more of a has more of a following than, like, also anything that John Carpenter remade, which was The Thing, and I think he also did a remake. I was ready to pick that up. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Those were two movies that he did that actually the remakes did much better than the originals, I think. I don't know. Anyway, the next one was The Blob. So that was remade. My Bloody Valentine, I think the original one was much better. It was a Canadian film. That's no joke, because we always make jokes, me and my friend, about Canada. But no, that was actually really was a Canadian film, the original one. And that one, when I watched when I was a little kid, I saw it recently. It wasn't as scary as when I remembered it as a kid. But that was remade into My Bloody Valentine's 3D. And then it was Maniac, which was remade. That was pretty good. Honestly, the original one was really disturbing. The remake wasn't as disturbing as the original one. The next one was Piranha, which they made into Piranha 3D, which is precisely right, because there was Piranha. There was a Piranha 2 called The Spawning. And Piranha 3, which was made many years later, was actually the third sequel to the movie. So that was correct. So 3D, yes, but 3, yes, also. And I did mention this already, but it was mentioned in this article, which I did not realize, of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was actually originally done. It's at Philip Kaufman's 78 of Invasion. And Don Siegel's was the original. Don Siegel was the original guy. See, I thought, though, that honestly, that the Invasion of the Body Snatcher was not done by Philip Kaufman. Maybe that was somebody who worked on her. I honestly thought that was John Carpenter. Maybe I was wrong. Well, yeah. So it's not that important. They were good sequels. Oh, and before I forget, because I just pulled this up, I have to say happy birthday to Gwyneth Paltrow. Yes, today was her birthday. She's 43. You know what? I never thought Gwyneth Paltrow was hot looking. She's cute, but I do like her acting. I don't like her politics. I'll tell you that right now. I don't like her politics, but she's just got like a warm feeling about her. She was excellent. Like, I'm not even talking a little bit. She was fantastic on the show. I mean, she really just made me more interested when I watched Glee. So I loved her in that. I actually liked her in Shallow Hal. That was really funny. She did a really good job. And I've seen Gwyneth Paltrow. Obviously, she's played in Iron Man movies, too. She's just an incredible actress. Unfortunately, her personal life is just a mess. But personally, I love her as an actress. I can truly say that. I really love her as an actress. She will either make you laugh or make you cry. She's like one of those kind of actresses. So, anyway, I have a story from BloodyDisgusting.com. And they're still talking about the remakes, or not remakes, the prequels to the Alien movies, which were supposed to be called Prometheus, which they now dropped the word Prometheus, and now it's just going to be called Alien Paradise Lost. They're talking about actually trying to incorporate Sigourney Weaver back into the film, and Michael Bond. The main characters, they want to bring those back in. They're really going to try to make these work, and that's Ridley Scott. So there was a story on BloodyDisgusting.com about that. It was on September 25th. That was like 2 days ago. So I'm reading some old news, but they just keep on bringing it up again and again and again and again. How they want to make these remakes. I'm sorry for saying that. That's what it feels like almost at this point. And by the way, Josh Whedon did do one of the films of the Alien movies. It was the one that got the worst rating. But you could tell it was done by Josh Whedon. And it gave him actually a chance to do other stuff. It really did. It gave him, even though the film didn't do well, it did give him opportunity to do other films. And obviously he's changed, he's improved or made a name for himself, because now he's got, like, on the Marvel universe, he's made the highest grossing Marvel film to date now, would be Josh Whedon. So he's come a long way. And he's more for the comic books anyhow. But I love the Alien movies. I actually personally like the original two. Now, I forget which one. There was one where oh god, she's one of the girls I liked. I have to look it up now. Sorry about that. I'm going to take a second to type this in. Because I am so bad. Well, you know what? I always remember after I started typing, Winona Ryder was in one. That one, my brother and his wife. And I always had like a Love Jones for Winona Ryder, and I think I still do. But she played in the one, what do you call it? She played in the one Alien movie, and it got the worst review. Well, it got bad reviews. My brother couldn't stand it. His wife couldn't stand it, and my parents went and seen it with him and his wife, and he said it was horrible. And I watched it. It was pretty bad. That might have even been the one Josh Whedon did. I don't remember. But either way, actually my favorite one was the second one. who was Mr. Terminator guy who did that one and Titanic. So that was... See, I can't remember a thing. James Cameron. See, I always remember this stuff after I started typing in. Before I even look it up, I was like, okay, I remember the name. Yeah, James Cameron's Titanic was incredible. I actually wanted to see the one that was before James Cameron's film with Titanic was like known as like a classic film, which I can't remember the name of that one. God, that was done back in 97. But yeah, James Cameron's version of Alien, which he did the second one, Aliens, was like my all-time favorite. I love that movie. Like, I could watch that 100 times and not get tired of it. Because the original one that Ridley Scott did was a little bit boring, too. He did, like, true science fiction. It just was not that exciting. But, yeah, James Cameron just, like, brought that whole movie franchise. I think, honestly, James Cameron is the one who kept that whole thing alive with Aliens, because he really did make that movie like stand out. So, my story, the list of my stories, I have one from iHorror, and it was about 5 horrifying and true evil clown stories. And I mean, true to life stories about people that were serial killers of some sort, and they were clowns. Klutzo the Clown, which I ain't even heard of him. They actually have photos of these serial killers as well. Grainy image, story murdered, has no grisly murders. It's something almost far worse and most endurably any parent's worst nightmare. And that was Klutzo the Clown, a minister, a cop, and a youth counselor by name of Ammon Paul Carlock Jr., entertained kids as a Christian clown. I'm not kidding. A Christian clown in various Sunday schools and orphanages. He called himself Klutzo the Clown and was arrested on charges of traveling to the Philippines to have sex with kids and bringing back a camera full of porn, child porn. Well, what do you call it from Subways? You got Jarrett. You met your match. You know, you weren't the first. Cops busted Paul Carlock, 57, at his Springfield, Illinois home. Feds found Carlock's camera and laptop full of photos of boys playing and showering and sitting clothed by with their genitals visible. He was then sent to jail, and while waiting trial was tasered to death by a guard inside the jail cell. For some reason, people just don't like pedophiliacs. I mean, they really don't like pedophiliacs to the point they want to kill them. So, and at least that guy, I mean, it's wrong what he did, but at least he didn't kill anybody in the process. So, I don't know. Number 2 was this one called Mysterious Mexican Cartel Killer. I don't know why it's in the clown movement. Francesco Rafael Orlando Felix, a former leader of the cartel, was shot in the head and chest at a family gathering in southern tip of the state of in California, Beja, California. The gunman, dressed in the clown's getup, okay, there we go, approached him calmly and shot him in the head. So, hey, that is pretty actually clever. So, I think my parents are home, so I might have to make a pause. The next one is number 3, the murder of Marlon Warren. In May 1990, a woman by the name of, this is a woman now, by the name of, it looks like Marlon. You know, like Marlene Warren received an unexpected visit by her Wellington home. She opened the door to a clown boutique of flowers with 2 silver balloons. Before she could even say anything, She was shot point blank with a .38 caliber revolver. So I'm going to take a pause for a minute, folks, because I know somebody's going to be banging at my door, and I will be back as soon as I can figure out where my program is. Alrighty, I'm taking a break. All right. Hey, this is Walter again. I am back. I had to take a short break. I didn't mean to take a break, but I had to. I left off with the murder of Marlene Warren. And the next one, by the way, is Zosby Ghost. In the 1900s, Frederick Zosby was a Czechoslovakian clown who moved to Liverpool. He tragically committed suicide, but the ghost remained behind to haunt unsuspected children. According to the reports in December of 2002, 13-year-old Thomas and his 10-year-old brother were sleeping in the very same room that Zosby had killed himself. And they were woken by a devilish laughter. The boys' eyes fixated towards the corner of their room and caught the sight of a ghostly apparition wearing a cone-shaped hat, maroon suit accessorized with large red painted nose, and a white makeup on his face. He was described as a dark socket with dark sockets for eyes, like that of a skull, and was surrounded by a green aura. The ghost was laughing hysterically with one hand on his belly and the other one pointing at horrified kids. The room, filled with a stench of embalming fluid, ejected the boys from the room, and ran to call their parents. The adults went to inspect but found nothing. However, according to the children's parents, they did smell some essence of embalming fluid. So that was like a true story. That's pretty weird. And there was Pego the Clown. That's the one that everybody knows probably mostly because that's John Wayne Gacy. Yes, it says, here we are, the most infamous evil clown of all, John Wayne Gacy, a.k.a. Pogo the Clown. You know, this guy originally gave the party clowns a bad name. In case you've been living under a rock, Gacy killed over 33 young men, burying most of them under crawl spaces in his home. Interestingly enough, the mystery didn't end with the capture of his capture and then his execution in 1994. It says Rafael Tovar, a Des Plaines detective, claimed that he once asked Gacy about the whereabouts of his other victims. That's for you guys to find out, and Gacy's answer, that's for you guys to find out was Gacy's answer, so I apologize for messing it up. Another detective also discovered that Gacy traveled to 15 to 20 states in the 1970s. He could have probably took me out to the other end of Pennsylvania. He could have taken me to that Friday the 13th thing if he didn't kill me first. Anyway, it says this information opened up the possibilities that there might be other bodies buried somewhere else, but none have ever been found. So I guess there's a lot of missing persons reports still with this Gacy guy, or Casey. John Wayne Gacy. I said Gacy. I said Casey. So that's pretty. It's pretty wild. There was another story that I had on iHeart, and it's a Scream Queen Freddy's Revenge documentary in the works. Because that's been an all-time, favorite, I guess, of a lot of people was, the Nightmare on Elm Street. Did I say Nightmare on Elm Street? Because I am saying that now. I forget. We here at High Horror obviously batshit crazy over Nightmare on Elm Street series and pretty much anything attached to it. However, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 seems to be the black sheep of the franchise and often gets the tongue lashing from critics and fans alike. Many have stated that the film has a hidden agenda tiptoeing around the homosexual lifestyle. The basic premise of the film is that Freddy is trying to fully immerse himself into a teenage boy's body. Oh, okay, because he comes out of that teenager's body. Oh, yes, I remember that one. That's the one that Freddy Krueger keeps on resurfacing and has the kid actually do all the murders for him. So I forgot all about that. So, yeah, there's a story on that. I totally forgot. Yeah, I did actually. That was the first one I actually ever saw, was the second one. I never saw them in order. So, years later, yeah, they're talking about that one, the second one. Apparently, that wasn't that well liked. I thought it was pretty interesting because, yeah, I forgot that the kid was the one that basically was possessed by Freddy Krueger, and he was the one doing all the killings. Technically, it was Freddy Krueger, though. But now it looks like they might be doing some type of documentary about the films, or at least that one in particular. So, yeah, if you want to read that story, again, I always give you the links. That's on iHorror.com, and that was dated September 25th. Oh, well, here was something interesting. I watched those films. They were really bad. Bruce Campbell played in the original one, I think, but it was a movie called Maniac Cop. Now they're talking about making a remake of that. That's on iHorror. And that was dated also the 25th. It says remake of 1988's Maniac Cop finds a director. It was announced a few years back that Nicholas Winding Refn Drive was going to be directing a remake of the 1988 slasher film Maniac Cop. Those were really campy because they were like trauma films. They were actually shot in New York somewhere. And you could tell by the people they hired were just local New Yorkers to do the films. Anyway, though it wasn't long before the talk about exciting projects dried up, the talks resume this week as a new director has been handpicked for this film. Sorry, I'm rubbing my nose. I got an itchy nose. So, if you're interested that they might be making a remake of that film, and it looks like it's announced that a few years back. No, I already read that. As reported by Twitch Film, the announcement today at a fantastic fest at John Himes Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, Sci-Fi's Z Nation will soon be bringing the vengeful Matt Cordell back to the screen, which was confirmed over on Twitter by Hames himself. So, yes, they do got a producer for that film. Now, if they make a remake, I hope it's not as campy as the original one, because those were really bad movies. I mean, they weren't scary because they were so dumb. So, I don't know why they're remaking them at all. All right, I got to lighten up the mood just for a second. There was something I pulled, digitaltrends.com, and it says, new ion engine is so effective that it could go to Mars and back on a single tank full of fuel. So it said, a university in Sydney, researchers claim they have created the world's most effective ion engine, beaten out even NASA's esteemed HI-PEP engine, which currently holds the record for ion drive performance. Dr. Patrick Newman created the engine as part of the PhD thesis and is using the invention to form the basis of his company, Newman Space. Reports that Hyundai Soyot, the weekly student newspaper from the University of Sydney, So I didn't do a very good job of reading this so far, so probably I shouldn't go any further. But yeah, an ion drive, like almost like Star Trek kind of stuff. But this will allow you to travel with less fuel and actually go as far as Mars and back. That's really good. It says the Newman drive is very different from NASA's one because counterpart relying on basic principle to power the drive. The Newman system uses solid propellant and an electrical arc to vaporize the propellant into a cloud of ions, the electrons, and neutral vapor. The mixture is accelerated through the anode ring and then focused using a magnetic field. The combination pushes the gas mixture out in a contagious pattern of shorts and light burst. So this is really cool. So eventually, maybe this whole Star Trek, Star Wars thing might actually have, a sale of actually, doing interplanetary traveling. So I think that's really cool. I just had to lighten it up because I'll probably go back to my, yep, and I do. Here you go. I got another story about Robert Englund. Robert Englund on Nightmares remake, Child Killer, that's nasty enough. That was in the 25th. Basically, this is what I kind of mentioned before, where people were speculating. They didn't realize, that when they remade it, that they thought that the original ones, I guess, they assumed that they weren't about that Freddy Krueger was a child molester, but he actually was. At a recent Comic-Con, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself, was asked a few questions about Nightmare on Elm Street remake by a couple of fans and what his thoughts were on Freddy Krueger being a child molester. It says, quote, "You imagine Freddy Krueger to be anything you want," Robert Englund had mentioned, but the theory is the word child killer, there is something darkly poetic about that. It is very frightening. It is a very frightening phrase, child killer. That should be enough, and I'll think that something symbolic about being a child killer. He kills children because children are their future, and there's no place for Freddy in the future. And it's revenge on the parents. It's the most painful thing a parent can do is to lose a child before they die. He goes on to say, I can't imagine how any adult parent survived the death of their child, so that's nasty enough. See, I kind of thought, it was somewhere in this article, he said he kind of already thought that even the original theme was that the man was some type of child molester as well. Interestingly, apparently, there were thoughts on England's Freddy being a child molester in the original film. Now, I'll be honest, when we did the first film for a while, that was sort of the idea. In Los Angeles, there was a terrible child molestation case going on in the news, and we wanted to avoid that, so we just changed basically it says they changed that. So, yes, the original premise was that Freddy Krueger was some type of child molester, but then they kind of strayed from that because in Los Angeles, at the time of the original film being made, there was a child molester on trial, and they didn't want to bring, I guess, any type of limelight or whatever you call that, like any glam to this case going on. So they had changed the character to being a child killer from being a child molester. So, okay, here we go. I should have read this next one before Freddy Krueger. So thank you. I think it was I had taken off of Todd's website, but it was actually, honestly, it was from Woody Colt's website, his brother Paul's, that sent it to Todd. It was in the TimesLeader.com. A 66-year-old woman trying to park smashes into an emergency room by the Associated Press. That was first posted 10:39 a.m. September 25th. So a lot happened the last 2 days ago. St. Mary's police said a woman trying to park her car instead had accidentally had accelerated suddenly and smashed into a wall of Central Pennsylvania's hospital emergency room. The police identified the 66-year-old Catherine Ellett, who authorities said may work for the Penn Highlands Elk Hospital in St. Mary's, but about 100 miles northeast of Pittsburgh. The woman hasn't been cited, and the police haven't said whether they figured out what led to the crash about 7 p.m. Thursday. Basically, the impact caused a gaping hole in the brick wall near the window, but did not injure anyone inside. The driver was examined and was not believed to be badly hurt, so she was all right too. Hospital spokeswoman Karen Hazlett says the emergency room remained open after the dust settled. So, I mean, that stuff happens. I know when I first started driving, I did stuff like that. You accidentally pushed the accelerator instead of the brake. That was really hard. On the driving stories, though, this was just like posted tonight. A friend, Todd, posted it. Motorist sets lighter to spider at a gas station and burns the pump. So there's actually video of that one. Central Line, Michigan, a man with a apparent case of anacrophobia caused a fire at a suburban Detroit gas pump by putting a lighter to what he said was basically a spider. And he didn't blow up the gas station, thank goodness, but he did start a fire and he was able to put it out. Because either he did or someone else actually right away got a fire extinguisher. And again, they were able to put it out. I just closed the story I wanted. So that really sucks. I closed the story I wanted. But that was mighty scary, to say the least. I got to read these later. Friends are sent me stuff on Facebook, and that doesn't take me too long to realize that I'm going to be off track. So, by the way, I have to mention this. This was really, really funny. But somebody actually, I gave it to a lot of friends. Somebody did this thing on, it's called Men's Humor, and it's Drunk Mario. And this guy sets this thing up in the back of his yard. He looks like Mario Brother coming out of one of those pipes, but it's actually a trash can. And he hits the things that Mario is supposed to hit, the blocks. Let me look at this and I'll try to describe it. He comes out of the thing, he hits the block, he hits a mushroom, kicks a mushroom, and then he vomits into another, what do you call it, supposed to be the pipe or whatever. That was really funny. And that motorist one, if I didn't say it, by the way, because that was on Sunday, September 27th. That was today at 12 o'clock noon in Michigan. It was on 21 News. So if you go to local21news.com, you can read that particular article on that motorist guy. I was trying to open up a link, and it did not open up. So I could be finally saying, hey, I'm done. One thing I did want to mention, by the way, folks, I did watch Doctor Who last night. I watched the second part of the Dalek episode with Peter Capaldi, and I hate to admit to it, but it was really, really good with Davros and stuff. I think out of all 9 seasons, this had to be the best episode. Probably the original one with Eccleston was really good. I'll have to say, yes, the first one with Eccleston was really good. It was excellent. It was with the Altons. And not many other ones can I say, they were that good. But in the first part, the very first part of season 9 with the Daleks was all right. I wasn't too impressed. I rewatched most of it at work on my break. It was like, you know what, this isn't too bad. It's just not what I really was aiming to, watch. But then I watched the second half early in the morning today, and it was like, wait a minute, this is really good. This is beyond good. This was excellent. Now, if he makes more stuff like that, the new director, or the director who's been doing it for the last couple of years, producer, I wouldn't have a problem with the show because it was that good. And I've been watching the show for 30-some years, Doctor Who. So you finally got an okay from an old fan, and that would be me. I posted some stuff if you're interested, and it was on my Facebook page, and it was from a web link called www.iamatexan.com. And it kind of got to me the heartstrings were pulled 4 hours ago. It was posted. And it was prom king and queen, I guess. But the king was a kid who has cerebral palsy, and the poor girl has spinal bifida. So these they actually were kind enough to pick these people for being the prom king and queen. And I really don't have a problem with that at all. Don't just keep scrolling. The young man with cerebral palsy and the young woman with spina bifida were elected homecoming king and queen at Dripping Springs High School in this past Friday. And you can read more. It says, let's see if they can get 1 million likes. I'm sure they really did. I don't really know. I hope they did. So, that was a heart-wrenching story. I think one of the ones I wanted to that got shut down was from Sean Hannity on his web link. And it was this sheriff, he says, and in his defense, he's a African American. So I'm saying that for that reason, because he actually mentioned Sheriff David Clark told Hannity that murders are on the rise in the cities like Chicago, but all we get is Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, is a shoulder shrug from him, and we get the heads in the sand from the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. So that's really bad. So this police officer or sheriff, he's actually saying that even our president and this Rahm Emanuel, who works for Obama, they don't want to hear about it. The right to be black or the right to be alive, they're ignoring it. They're acting like they're protecting the black Americans, but they're not. They don't care. So it was like, it's pretty intense. And it's actually a video with that one. There was a story I did either pull up and had to accidentally taken down. This is no joke. This is one I pulled up, and it is a video. So I really can't tell you what it was about because I thought there would be some news read to it too, but there isn't. And it's on BillO'Reilly.com, and it says, woman jailed after declaring war on whites and cops. Lutasha Ned, a.k.a. I Am Express Skimmick, was arrested in Georgia for urging people to murder police officers. And obviously it seems like not only police officers, but it did mention white people too. So, yeah, that's kind of like a red flag gets raised there. She got arrested, but she's obviously... again, it's titled Woman Jailed After Declaring War on Whites and Cops. And this was in Georgia, which Georgia is pretty laid back. The people get along very well. They're not they're not really that racist at all. But this woman started a race war. So, or is trying to, against white people and cops. So I'm sorry for reading it. Oh, yeah, there was a couple other things. And one thing that was really cool, big Doctor Who fan, these little vinyl toys you can buy. It looks like one of those kind of things. Doctor Who New Limited Edition Pop Evolving Dialect. So it's kind of cool looking. I don't need that, but it kind of shows you they changed the look of what the dialect looks inside from originally the way they were meant to look. But they really never showed what the interior looked like anyway. And you know what? That episode I was telling you, like last night with the dialects, I'm probably going to watch that again and again because that was really good. I really kind of blew my mind. And the only thing I don't like is they made the Master regenerate into a woman. I love that actress, though. I forget her name, but she's like really hot looking. She's really cute. And she's like a really good actress. She adds a lot of sense of humor to the character of the Master. But again, why couldn't they just make her another Time Lord? Why did they have to make her a woman? Why couldn't they just make her her own person? Why couldn't they make her like another Time Lord who was obsessed with the Master or something like that? Why did they have to make the Master into a woman? That makes no sense. Oh, and there was something else I really forgot. That was going to be the theme of my show tonight. I'll mention that. By the way, I was glad somebody put this up and was I forget where I got it from. It says shared from Monster Vision on TNT's photos. Now, I remember growing up and watching this guy. He was a Texan guy, and he would show really bad horror movies, and I couldn't remember his name. I was asking a friend because there was Stella as well. Stella and that guy, loudmouth guy, the Jewish guy that was always on Stern, which I can't remember his name, who also did horror movies too. He did like announcements of horror movies. But this guy that I couldn't remember, it's not the only one. His name was Joe Bob Briggs, and he used to show horror movies every Saturday night on TNT. So there was a caption that says, if you grew up watching Joe Bob Briggs, your childhood was awesome. Because, yeah, he was a really cool guy, but he would do, like, every weekend, he would do a horror fest, like on old horror movies, and it was really cool. So, and I have a picture on my Facebook page of Lady Gaga. So I can't wait till the new American Horror Story starts, because I'm going to probably end up buying, it'll be the first one I will buy, like, the disc, because I love Lady Gaga that much. Like, she's like my favorite, so, if you haven't noticed yet, because it's true. Now, I got to figure out, I don't know if it'll work this time. Like, I'll pretend that I'm looking for it, and then I'll remember who I met with the guy with the loud mouth that used to be on Stern all the time. Let me see if I can find it, though. And it's like literally on the tip of my tongue. I can like see it, but I can't read it on my tongue. I'm not kidding. I mean, that's how close it is. This guy I can't remember. Mouth Jew that I'm putting loudmouth Jew. I'm sorry about that. Well, for some reason it came up with Eli Roth, and that's not the one I'm thinking about. He's really funny, too. Definitely annoying. Now they're saying it's coming up with everybody except, like, Mel Brooks. I mean, the man is funny. I'll put in was on Stern. No, it mentions Eli Roth again, because Eli Roth actually made his thing off of Stern, I guess, with Cabin Fever. Wow, I can't remember his name. He was really loud, and he was really funny. Let me put it in comedian, because he was a comedian. I can picture his like voice in my head, but that's not helping. Well, sorry about that. Now it's saying Bill Maher. It's everybody except him. Sarah Silverman. There's a thing for all the comedian Jewish people from A to Z. I don't know if I want to go through all these, though. I think it's Gilbert Godfrey, actually. That was the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, let me look him up real quick, because I think it was. He actually did a show, too, on movies. Let me see. Gilbert Godfrey. Yeah, it actually was him. I used to love Gilbert Godfrey. He was a really funny comedian. I think he is. But he used to do, like, horror movies, too, I think, if I remember correctly. This was, like, a long time ago. So, anyway, they mentioned the other guy, Bob. I remember watching him on TNT, and that was really, really cool, Bob Briggs. Joe Bob Briggs. I gotta look what happened to him, because Yeah, I kind of miss him. I actually really do. Whatever happened to Joe Bob Briggs? Let me see if I can find Joe Bob Briggs. Joe Bob Briggs. John Irvin Bloom, who uses the pseudonym of Joe Bob Briggs, is a syndicated American film critic, writer, and comedic performer. He was born on the 27th of January 1953, is 62, from Dallas, Texas. And he had a show called Monster Vision that lasted from 1993 until 2000. The show was really, really good because he would show all these like really off-the-wall horror movies. But, I mean, he is definitely one person I wish he would have not went off the air. But, yeah, another note, and that'll be the last one for tonight, was I thought it was funny, and I just got to find it again. Oh, wait, I got to add Joe Bob Briggs. But it was what do you call it, on Jaws, where, what do you call it, the one guy gets eaten by the shark. Well, somebody did a parody on that now, and it was a short on Facebook, and I want to make sure I don't see any more stories, because if I do, I'll just end up reading those as well. Let's see if I can find the video. I can describe what happened in the video, but it was so funny. I watched it like 12 times last night. C.W. Bayer uploaded a new video, When People Attack, September 25th. And again, it's called When People Attack. And it's that scene where the shark jumps on top of the boat, and he like basically sinks the boat from the weight of the shark, and he eats the one guy. Well, it's reversed, where the shark is trying to get away. He's like frightened from the human, who jumps on the boat and tears off the end of the boat, like the end of the piece of the boat. And he jumps on the boat and starts attacking the shark. Again, it's like he's going to eat the shark instead of the shark eating him. And it's like basically a guy in a shark suit too. But it is really, really funny. But it's on C.W. Byers. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was classic. This one is really, really good. I couldn't help it. Oh, God. He's got some good stuff on there. He's got one, I like my coffee, another caption thing. I like my coffee like my Death Stars. Gigantic, on the dark side, and powerful enough to destroy planets. Whoa, that was good. And he has another one where Spock is trying to lift with one of those things you get teddy bears and stuff out of, you know, those vending machines you put 50 cents in to try to get. It's a GIF. Spock from the new series. He's trying to grab a little teddy bear from one of those machines, like with the little claws, and the claw drops, so Spock freaks out. Yeah. So yeah, that is funny too. He's got some funny stuff. This guy is hilarious. I got to read some of his stuff on there now. C.W. Bayer, he's really, really funny. That is one person you definitely want to add as a friend. I didn't know I didn't. So I just sent him a friend's request because his other stuff is funny. He's got another thing, anything but the precious seed. How to disable a female rapist that wants to steal your precious seed. Hoof her right in the front butt. And then it says, grab, yank, and twist her dirty pillows until she runs away. And it shows like little cartoon figures. So that's funny. He's got something from The Shining. And with, who was the guy? Jack Nicholson, when he's like, they're here, and he's like knocking on the door. It's a GIF again with Jack Nicholson from The Shining, and he's got a caption on top. This guy CW, and he puts penny, penny, penny. You know, from like from the, what do you call it? Big Bang Theory. I mean, this guy's got some really funny stuff. The best one that I didn't realize was him. I didn't know I'd even asked to request to add him because he's really, really funny. Was this thing where this hot Asian girl is going, she's got a BMW, she's at the gas station, and it says, I don't have a witty comment that can sum up the level of stupidity, but it's a hot, like she's got a skin-tight skirt on and like stiletto heels, but a skin-tight red skirt on. I had this up a while ago. I didn't know I got it from him. And it's like how to add oil to a car. And it's a hot-looking Asian girl in a skin-tight, like her ass and everything's hanging out, of this micro skirt, one-piece micro skirt. And she opens up the hood of her BMW, and she just gets a gallon of oil, and she just pours it all over the top of the engine. That's how, like, you put it. And I remember seeing that before because the caption was originally, I don't understand why the oil light hasn't gone off when I added oil to the car. And it was like, basically a total dunce. So, CW's got some really good stuff. I have to give the guy a plug just because he is awesome. So, everyone, once again, I hope you enjoyed my stories. And thank you, CW, now. I hope he adds me as a friend because he's got some really nice stuff. Very funny on his Facebook page. So, everyone, have a good Sunday night. And I will try to be back during a week. I am signing off for now.